I know you care immensely about this. You probably don't care about as much about it as I do, because like I said, I literally, like, it bothered me all day. You know how competitive I am. You know how mad this made me that I messed this up yesterday. When I went from here to here, if you remember, I forgot to bring down the negative sign, and look what chaos it ensued after that. Because once I did that, that led to another mistake, and then so that's why when you're taking a math test, and I'd say, hey, I'm not even going to take that till a certain time, because one little mistake like that throws everything off. So it's really important, if you have time to check it, that you do. So I was trying to go too fast yesterday, and look what happened. So this is number 5, and it's all correct now. Negative 3.85. This is, by the way, Thursday, the 9th of January, year of our Lord 2020, and we're going to go over the answers to page 287, and here they are. Ready? Number 1. Oh, by the way, I know you'll be upset about this too. We've got an abridged class today because at about 9:50 I got to close it down because everybody's favorite meteorologist, no, I don't know. I think it's WFMJ. Hope he's not out there already. But do you guys know who Eric Wilhelm is?
Yeah.
Okay. So do you really? So he's coming in to set up for some presentation for 5th grade. That's why that cord's hanging down. And I know you're upset that it's going to be a shorter math class, but we got to get going.
Wait, what?
All right, ready? What?
What?
Presentation for 5th grade. Number 1, ladies and gentlemen. Number 1, the answer was 7. If you missed it, mark it. We'll have to talk about it later. Shh, please. Number 2, the answer was 6. Number 3, the answer was 4. Please. Number 5, the answer was 1. I'm sorry. Number 4, the answer was 1/2. So far, we got 7, 6, 4, and 1/2. Number 5 is on the board. Number 6, 1 and 7/9. 1 and 7/9. Number 7, 22 feet. 22 feet with 7. And number 8, please stop. The equation you should have come up with, you should have translated that paragraph into something like this. 235 plus 30 plus 40 times n equals 445, which would lead you to the answer 3 pairs. How many got 3 pairs but didn't quite get it the way I described it?
I got 3, but I didn't.
All right, listen.
I got 3.
If you missed those, mark them. We've got to move on. There's still time before the test to, if you're not quite getting what we've been doing, you'll have time to. End of chapter 6. It's not till next week. End of next week. That's what I meant. So if you're not quite mastering it yet, there's no worry. All right. 6.4, we got to start talking about circles and using solving equations with real life, real world problems. Like, you might not think they're real world problems sitting in here. Like, you're not going to work with circles, but maybe you will. As you sit there, many of you think you got life figured out. You don't. Most people, even when they graduate from high school, the fact is that most people do not even finish college with the major that they started college in. So that's so whenever you say, wow, what do I got to learn this? I don't care. God might have a plan for you that you have no idea what it is. And you might be actually working with algebra every day of your life. You don't know.
I would never.
All right, quick review. What do we call the area around any object? Perimeter. The area around, right? But when it comes to a circle, we change that word, and the perimeter of a circle is actually called, raise your hand, circumference. And many, many years ago, incredible minds, because they didn't have computers, they didn't have anything to research. They were the research. Incredible minds came up with incredible knowledge about circles, and that is that the circumference, the distance around a circle, is related directly to the distance through the center of the circle, which is called, raise your hand, from one side of the circle through the center point to the other side, David, diameter. And then they said, well, we could work with just halfway. We could work with from center point to the edge. That's half of a diameter, and we call that, raise your hand, radius. So if we know the D, the R, and the C, we'll be able to understand this formula that says the circumference of a circle equals, and everybody's heard of this before because I think everybody in this class has gone through, Mrs. Reed makes a big deal every March 14th. You go through Pi Day, right?
Yeah.
And the Greek symbol for pi is that little guy there. So the distance around any circle, if I draw a real teeny tiny circle here, the distance around that is 3.14 times the distance through the center circle. Make sense? The center of that circle. Or it could be a huge circle like out there in the universe. Astronomers trying to figure things out in astronomy. Some huge circle that's maybe light years big. Guess what? If you want to know how far around the circle it is and you know the diameter, you can figure out by multiplying it by pi. And then you can manipulate this, right? So if you knew the circumference and you wanted to know the diameter, what would I do with that equation? How could I manipulate that to figure out what D is? Use your algebra sense. This says circumference is pi times D. Okay, so how do I find out what D is? Just based on that formula. Yeah.
No, never mind.
No,
I don't remember.
Do you want me to close that line? Yeah. Yeah, I would go like that, right? And that would leave me with D on that side.
Oh yeah. Okay, now
So-
I forgot.
Right? If I wanted to know what diameter was and I knew what circumference was, what did I do? Yeah, I just did it. I divide by
divided by pi. No, that's correct.
That's correct. Pi divided by pi gets rid of it.
Yeah.
So circumference divided by pi. Don't try to make me think I'm going to make a mistake 2 days in a row. So if I wanted to know what diameter was and I knew circumference, I could do that. All right. Let's dive right in, shall we? Number 1 on page 291. Find the circumference of this circle. And wait, you all know pi to be 3.14. That's rounded to the nearest hundredth because you also know that it goes on and on and on and on, right? But did you know that the fraction equivalent is 22 over 7? Yeah, well, I am because you should be prepared before you leave.
Well, we weren't supposed to do that. Sarah.
Let's see, 26 pre-algebra students. So if you lost 5 minutes of recess and cost 26, that's 130 minutes. Wow, you'd have to lose 2 hours and 10 minutes of recess, Reynolds.
I know. We don't even have it. I know. We could have it. We don't have it.
All right, so listen. Sometimes when you work in these formulas, ladies and gentlemen, it's going to make more sense to use 22 over 7. Sometimes it'll make more sense to work with the decimal. So you're going to have to answer the question when you do these. When we do number 1, first thing you're going to have to ask is, what should I use for pi, the fraction or the decimal? Let's look at it. It says the radius. Everybody understands that's the radius?
Yeah.
Not taking anything for granted. Number 1, the radius is 28 miles. We need to find the circumference. So based on this formula, circumference equals pi times d. This is also true. Circumference equals, and look, diameter is 2r. How do they always write the formula? 2 pi r. Why do they mix it up like that? I don't know. Because if you just replace diameter with 2 radii, 2r, but they always write it 2 pi r. It's all the same though, right? Yeah. Because you're multiplying them together. So circumference is 2 times the radius. Because diameter is 2 radii, right? It's from the center circle to this edge and the center circle to that edge. So based on that, if the radius is 28 miles, somebody tell me, which one do you think you're going to use? 22/7 or 3.14? Which is there one that makes more sense? Yeah.
22/7.
Okay, tell us why.
I guess it can be reduced right there across.
Did you hear what he said? Listen, use math sense. Here's what he said. Since our radius is 28, and we're going to have to end up, to find the circumference, we're going to have to end up dividing, multiplying fractions. He says 22/7. There's going to be a 7 on the denominator, and a 28 in the numerator. You understand? You know.
I get it.
All right. Let's dive in. Ready? Number 1. He says use 28 because it's divisible by 7. So we're going to go circumference equals 2 pi r. Use that right there. And use 22/7 as your, I'm sorry, this is the one they always use. They're the same thing. Use 28/7 as your pi, or 22/7 as your pi. Can I erase number 5?
Yes.
I should take a picture of
Yes, you got my stuff on it next year.
it. Yeah.
What?
Okay, watch this, step by step. 2 pi r, so 2 times, I put the pi out there, so I can put the r with the 2. 2 radii is a diameter, right? So what's 2 times 28? 56. Why did he choose to use 22/7? Because he saw this coming. He can cross cancel.
Is it okay if we actually, I still got the same answer, but I did 22/7 and times 28/1.
Right, same thing, because you're multiplying. I chose to do the 2 times the r first. Because in my mind, I'm thinking, well, diameter is 2 radii. So I do the 2 times the radius. Listen, do you understand what he just said?
Yeah.
You would have gotten the same answer if you would have done this. I'll write it in green. If you would have done 2/1 times 20.
No,
I'm sorry.
28/1 times 22/7.
Yeah.
Yeah.
28/1 times 22/7. You would have gotten the same thing. Because here you would have got 88, and then you would have multiplied it by 2. Everybody good?
Yeah.
Number 2. The radius is 9.5 meters. What are you going to use? 3.14 or 22/7? Use 3.14 because 9.5 is not divisible by 7. So only use this when it's nice and convenient, knowing that you're going to be able to cross cancel. Because 28 was divisible by 7, but 9.5 isn't. So now you're working with decimals. 9.5. C equals 2 pi r. C equals 2 times 9.5 times 3.14. It does not matter which order you multiply those in. Multiplication is, starts with a C, commutative. Multiplication is commutative. So whether you do 2 times 9.5 first or 9.5 times 3.14 first, doesn't matter. I'm going to do 2 times 9.5 first because I can do that in my head, just like Micah. Micah says 9.5 and 9.5 is 19. And so he says the answer is going to be 3.14 times 19.
164.6.
And she says it's what?
I don't know.
Say it.
164.62.
Well, I'm thinking it's probably not right because it's not a 6 on the end.
Is it 64?
I got 59.66.
I got 59.
59.66.
6.
You gotta do. Yeah, it's 59.66.
Yeah, so,
Yeah,
59.66.
I think that's when my last album I accidentally added that in.
Number 3. The whole diameter is 16. So if the circumference is pi times the diameter, and the diameter is 16, and I'm going to do 22 over 7 times, no, that does not divisible. So I'm going to use 3.14. So it simply becomes 16 times 3.14. You already did it?
What about the 2? What about the 2?
16 times 3. No, listen. We're using, Micah, we're not using 2 radii this time because now they're giving us the whole circumference.
Oh.
So we're using this. Just pi times diameter. So when you know the whole diameter, see the difference between 1 and 2 compared to 3?
Yeah.
So we're using this, Elise. They give us the whole diameter, so I'm just using this. When they give us the radius, I use 2r, because 2r is the same as diameter. Does everybody get that?
Yeah.
All right, so I got the diameter 16 times 3.14. What'd you get, E?
I had gotten
50.2. 50.2 or 50.24 if you round it to 10. It's good. Yeah. The book wrote 50.2. It's probably 50.24 to be more exact. All right, your only homework, and unfortunately it's going to be homework, but we got to keep the train moving here. Listen, your only homework is 2, 3, and 4 on 292. 2, 3, and 4 on 292. Everybody got it? Remember how you can manipulate this formula. 2, 3, and 4 on 292. And this might necessitate some people being moved here, because I don't know how he's going to need to set up. Yeah,
What is that
presentation for fifth grade.
Do we use the formula?
Okay, listen. This is the formula for
You mean
finding circumference, okay? If you know the whole diameter, multiply it by 3.5 pi. Sometimes they'll give you a picture or they'll tell you just the radius. Well, if you understand that the radius is half the diameter, so if they give you the radius, you use, instead of d, 2 radii, because that's the same thing. Also, listen, remember you can manipulate this formula, because if they want you to find D and they give you C, then you can divide both sides by pi. Right? You can manipulate the formula to get D by itself. If they give you C.
What do you do when you use 22 over 7? Like, the number 2?
Only use 22 over 7 if you recognize that it's divisible by 7, because you're going to be able to.
56. And then what
Okay.
you just cross multiply? What do you do when you use 22?
All right, they gave you the whole diameter, right?
Yeah.
So it's going to be 22 over 7 times 56 over 1.
Is that how you set up everyone? Like, is that how you write?
You mean number 2?
Wait,
Okay.
how do you? Oh.
In number 2 on page 292, they're asking you for the circumference, right?
Yeah.
And this is your formula. And what did they give you? They gave you the whole diameter.
Yeah.
So you're going to go like this.
Oh.
Because, and he's using 22 over 7 because he recognizes, oh, that's going to make this nice and convenient. Oh. Isn't that, did I read that right?
Yeah.
It's going to be the same answer as one of the examples, yeah.
Define the diameter, forget the formula you did.
Okay, so if I wanted to find, use this, if I wanted to find the diameter then, I would just get rid of pi on this side. And I'd be left with D over here.
Okay. And then if you did the radius, you just multiply that with 2 and divide it.
So if they gave me the radius, and I wanted to
If
find,
you wanted to find it.
okay, so if radius is 2r times pi, and I need to find the radius.
Yeah.
And they gave me the circumference.
Yeah.
Okay, so 2r equals,
Okay.
you sure?
Yeah. I'll tell
I think that might
That's
be
Hank,
it.
you're all hung up on that.
her. I don't know why you're. She's just confused all around. No, so. Which one you want?
The formula. Like, what
Oh,
you
I
write.
get it.
Do you write both of it?
No.
See out there?
2r pi. Someone pick that water bottle up. He's coming in here and he's got water.
Celebrity in the house. Does everybody recognize this guy? Some do, look. Some are happy. They're intense math, so they're not real,
That's all right.
So, tell me what you need. I can move this table wherever you want it.
So I was gonna hook up a computer or just a thumb drive into yours.
Whichever you want. He's got a cable stuff from here to
Use one of those
project.
desks up there.
Okay. All right. It may be just easiest if I just use
Do
it.
the thumb drive.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Is there sound with it?
no.
Okay.
So everything you have is just going to be presented on, okay.
How will you change that?
And you're gonna
We can
you
click
log
for
into
it
a
if you
Google
want.
account?
No, I'm just got a PowerPoint on the hard drive.
Oh, okay.
You have?
Yep. Yes, well, it'd actually be on this one. Crazy.
Changing the slides. How am I gonna do that?
It may be easier if we just put our computer up here. and
Okay,
then
that's-
change it when you want to change it.
Okay, that's fine.
Because the cable's right here. Then we kick Dominic out of his desk.
Yeah. So you'll just need that little bit of space there, just one desk? All right.
Power,
Dominic.
get enough battery.
Yeah.
Anything-
I didn't put it on.
you do 2 times the probability 28. Here's this math.
I remember it fondly, or not so fondly.
I do English, science, and math.
My friend's a high school math teacher down in
Oh,
Wisconsin.
wow. Not to give you any extra duty, but did you have to know some math to do meteorology?
Lots and lots of math. Lots of math.
Like, so you actually use this stuff a lot.
Indeed.
Like you probably had to know about circles.
Circles and every shape known to man, yes.
I like your shoes.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
The one about Why? I already have it. I can't do it.
Like to get up, try to have a second for it.
Jordan. So good. Did I write it right?
I even got a dictated.
That's what Mike wanted.
Brett, yeah, Brett. Brett is huge.
Hey, 3 algebra.
Yeah.
Jonathan, when you get to number 4 and you're using 3.14 for pi, and you know now that 1/4 is 0.25, you're going to make 6 1/4 6.25, right? So you multiply all decimal numbers?
Oh, yeah.
I just said
I know.
reading time. I actually kind of like reading. This gives me an excuse to read this. Of course, like, it's called the art of this. I forgot to. But, yeah, it's really good. But, it's been a problem. Because I try to scare my bird takes off. I can't. I thought it was just acting, but it really was.